The following program is a UNC Charlotte production.
Welcome inside UNC Charlotte. First up in this edition, we learn more about the university's growing engagement in the field of health informatics. In collaboration with leaders in the health and technology fields, UNC Charlotte has implemented an interdisciplinary program to meet the need for trained professionals in this field. UNC Charlotte College of Education celebrated the dedication of the CATO Teaching Discovery Mural this spring. We'll get a preview of the mural and learn more about its role in honoring great educators. We profile this year's recipients of the Distinguished Service Award, Dennis and Betty Chafin Rash. Plus, we'll take a look back at the Charlotte 49ers' 8 years in the Atlantic 10 Conference. All this and more inside UNC Charlotte. Health informatics. It's harnessing the potential of data analytics, or big data, to transform healthcare in real time. UNC Charlotte, in collaboration with leaders in the health and technology fields, has implemented an interdisciplinary program to meet the critical need for trained professionals who can speak both the languages of technology and healthcare.
Health informatics is very basically a bunch of data that needs to be made sense of, and that's the reason for the whole discipline of health informatics. What happens to stuff in general? What happens to people as they move through hospitals? What happens to people when they take a certain drug? What happens to people when they don't take a certain drug, or when they eat certain things, and so on and so forth? These are the things that I think are of significance for us to understand why it is that we have a healthcare system in the first place.
What's interesting, I think, in health informatics is that if you look at the training of a physician, the training of the physician is to do everything possible to help an individual. Well, if you do everything possible with today's technology, medical technology, to help every individual, you'd soon use many times the gross national products of all the nations on the planet.
The ability to accumulate data and make some sense out of it has just changed our world dramatically. For example, in healthcare, one of our biggest questions for many, many decades actually is, what is quality? You know, how do you measure it? What is it? What does it look like? And frankly, it was very Voltairean up until fairly recently. Now we actually are being able to accumulate enough information and data to actually be able to say that there are differences between this thing and that thing, or this outcome and that outcome. So I think that the ability to accumulate data and to make some sense with it, sense-making, I think is really becoming a very important aspect of healthcare. And once you can collect all of this data, you can actually begin to make predictions about it.
It's not really about tracking. It's more about people and processes, and then technology later, how we can improve patient care. Example being, we can go through and we actually can track the movement of nurses, and it's not where they've been at and what they've done through their job, but it's how often they've maybe touched the patient through patient care, how long it was the alone time, how quickly they can get to different resources inside a healthcare facility. Those are things that are adding to the patient care solution.
I think most of the public is becoming much more attuned to the fact that there's a lot of data out there. They're also becoming much more attuned to the fact that it's incumbent upon us as custodians of the data to protect that data. Coming to one unified single patient record, one patient, one record, one remarkable experience. That's really what we're after at Novant Health. So we feel very comfortable that the university has actually listened to the advisory board and is incorporating that curriculum around many of those things that we've actually said are very, very important. Not only to help students learn a skill set that can give them jobs, but also to learn the skill sets to help protect the data.
This is really a job that is a dream job for people that like to have an analytical bent of mind, a curious bent of mind, who look for patterns in the data, who can use statistics and predictive modeling to foretell the future. So it's all about foretelling the future. In the last century, we had the Industrial Revolution. We have the information revolution now, about 30 years into it, and we are now at the edge where we can make a difference. in people's lives. May not help many of us, but future generations will live longer because they have genomics, proteomics analyzed at birth, huge amounts of data that then allow the doctor to target treatment to that particular individual's makeup, internal makeup. So all of that is coming. It may still help us, who knows, but I think next generation will be helped a lot.
You know, you can teach a course one year and the next year you have to teach it differently because the technology has changed. And I think the way around that is something that we're trying to do now in the College of Computing, which is to turn around the undergraduate education from being focused on picking up certain skills to helping the students learn how to learn this material and learn it knowing that it's going to change.
And I think education in all terms is the same. It evolves over time. The skill sets remain the same. So that's what we're trying to make sure even this program sets through, are the skill sets that are going to be the foundation, which will then help them evolve as healthcare universe changes. We all believe that there'll be a convergence, not only of the payer provider pharma, but the data that even comes from sources that we haven't yet tapped into. So as all of those data comes in one single universe or is used for solving all of these issues, at the center of it all is going to be the consumer, us as a consumer, getting better healthcare. So as that changes, that evolution, the skill sets are going to be remaining the same on how you turn big data into information. I think the ability to engage us as a member to make an impact to our healthcare in real time, that's the kind of data sources that we're talking about, and what better place than in Charlotte and in surrounding area where we've got great hospitals, great teaching universities, Blue Cross Blue Shield, of course, as a good insurer, and SAS as being the headquarters of analytics.
UNC Charlotte is urban applied research university and has really made its name in areas where we apply advanced technologies to real-life examples. So it is the understanding of the domain, which is the health, and using technologies, computational and communication technologies, to allow us to make advances in improving our daily lives. This is the reason why this is a professional science master's program. There is a realization on both sides that we need to produce graduates who are ready to start day one on a job, and at the same time that it is the industry that needs to be engaged in the process to help us understand what kind of graduates they need who would be successful day one.
Charlotte will be one of the hubs. I can't say it will be the only hub. Charlotte is just a vibrant city. UNCC is a vibrant academic community. We know where we're going. We have a mission. There's opportunity here. There's growing opportunity here. Everything points to Charlotte really being successful.
From its beginnings more than 40 years ago, the UNC Charlotte College of Education has grown to be one of the largest, most vibrant teacher education programs in the state. The recent 40th anniversary celebration of the college brought us the Looking Forward campaign and the CATO Teaching Discovery Mural.
So much has happened in the 40 years that we wanted to celebrate that anniversary. So we've used this celebration time to invite more philanthropic resources to strengthen our mission and to grow in new ways. This CATO Teaching Discovery Mural has been the centerpiece of the celebration. Through a generous gift from John Cato and the Cato Foundation, we've established this mural as a celebration of teachers and the teaching professions and have honored great educators. And we now have this beautiful space outside of the College of Education to welcome visiting groups, to think about North Carolina's culture and history. And donors have been invited to make a gift of $1,000 or more to honor a great teacher by name. Thus, we've created the first unrestricted endowment for the College of Education to take advantage of new opportunities, to support our current students, to create new projects like international travel grants for our students, to support faculty research, to do the next good thing that we're invited to do as a College of Education.
First of all, we had to decide what the monument would be. Was it one long wall? Was it multiple structures? So we went through a design process to look at how this space might be best used. The second part was content. What did we want to display in these murals? And what we did was go through a process of identifying important information about the state and the Charlotte region. We came up with a way to then package that information, having each panel be related to a specific topic, and provided the artist with a collection of photos and sketches that represented that concept.
So the whole point of sculpture is to make it three-dimensional, and these start out as the top edge of these start out as 4-inch brick, and all of these deep parts start out as 8-inch brick, but they're all laid up at one time like a wall. So then when I'm carving all of the very large brick that stick out back to be the shape of the ideas that we want illustrated.
She carved for a little over 6 months, and we have over 375 square feet of carvings here, which represent about 12 tons of brick when it was shipped to us. So the project is large in scale.
In addition to the CATO Teaching Discovery Mural, other amazing gifts have included the Ike Belk gift to establish the Carol Grotness Belk Distinguished Professorship in Early Education, a bequest gift from the late Nicholas Gudis for the Gudis Scholarships in the amount of $2 million, a gift in honor of Jane and Rusty Good to establish the Early Educator Endowment to support the professional development of educators in their early career, a wonderful scholarship from Norm and Mary Ann Schul, a gift from Ed and Paige Kaiser to support Middle Grades University, and many gifts to honor great teachers by name on a wall of the CATO Teaching Discovery Mural.
When I graduated in 2003 with a psychology degree, I ended up coming right back to UNCC and entering the MAT program, which is the Masters of Arts in Teaching, and began an internship in a 3rd grade classroom, and from there got a job in a 4th grade classroom, finished the master's program and taught in a 4th grade classroom for years, eventually taught 5th grade, and now I am a math curriculum coordinator for Union County Public Schools.
Her parents and my wife and I have been friends for over 20 years, so I watched her grow up. Was delighted when she went to UNC Charlotte. When I thought about who I should honor, I originally thought about teachers that I've had, and then all of a sudden it just came to me that no, it has to be Mindy. It just couldn't be anybody else. That was the first thought that I had, but that was who I wanted to honor when we had that mural finally built.
When I found out that Dick was honoring me, I couldn't believe it. I looked down the names that were listed and the stories that were listed in that bulletin, and I couldn't believe that my name was among those exceptional teachers that these stories were printed about. It was amazing.
Well, I was impressed by how the environment that it creates, you are immersed in it, not just standing in front of it. And that was something that surprised me, and I thought is really strong about that whole thing, is the way it immerses you. And then when you see all those names, it's really it's very moving.
So we're celebrating what we've become in the last 40 years, and we're looking forward to the 50th anniversary of the College of Education in the future. And we invite our alumni and friends and school children and other groups to visit this beautiful space to learn more about education and the education professions, and to learn more about North Carolina at the CATO Teaching Discovery Mural.
I don't just want to be a part of an organization. I want to be a major contributor to it. And I felt the university was my livelihood. I'm committed to it. And our first effort was developing a program for junior faculty in the Department of Geography and Earth Sciences to allow them to do research, to travel, to undertake these kinds of efforts. And that fund will be available once we're no longer here. The more recent one was to the College of Education, and that was to provide graduate scholarships for counseling and special education. And that really is a tribute to Mary Ann. I don't know how I can express it any better than to say she's been a partner in this all the way.
Well, I received my master's in counseling here, and Sister Mary Thomas was really responsible for me keeping on going and completing it during a time that I was working and had 2 children. And we'd just like to pay back that, but also with the economic slump that we have right now, we think that might help someone that does not have the funds or who would really like to go on but it's not possible, or with parents who can't support them. The loans cost so much for the kids to pay back that it's wonderful to just have a scholarship.
In 1967, when I made the decision to come here, we said, we'll give it a try. And I guess we put our hearts into it, spent a lot of time, a lot of effort, and 2 or 3 years of initial commitment developed into 30 years of full-time here, and then another 7 to 8 years of part-time involvement. I still am very proud that I serve on an advisory committee for the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. That keeps me in contact with the university, and I appreciate all that is taking place here. It's almost beyond your imagination as to what has taken place at this particular spot. And the future is still ahead of us. No question about it. And I know Mary Ann and we're going to continue to support this campus every way that we can in the future, because we believe in what is taking place here. And I hope that the community at large here understands that UNC Charlotte is really developing into a first-rate research university.
Dennis and Betty Chafin Rash have influenced the city of Charlotte and UNC Charlotte in significant ways since the mid-1960s. They met when Dennis was serving as Dean of Students and Betty was Associate Dean of Students at UNC Charlotte in the 1970s. Betty, who was an avid supporter of Liz Hare's campaign for Mecklenburg County Commission in 1972, ran for Charlotte City Council in 1975.
She had the support of a lot of people in town. Then I finally met her, and she was the epitome of a bubble of energy, someone who exudes this confidence and upbeat, optimistic personality, and I think she was going to solve all the problems of the city at the same time.
Betty and Dennis married in 1980, with UNC Charlotte's first chancellor, Dean Colvard, and Hugh McCall serving as the witnesses. By then, Dennis had been tapped by NCNB, now Bank of America, to form the first Community Development Corporation, authorized by the Comptroller of the Currency.
He came to work with us, and his first thing he did was help develop Fourth Ward. And he really was in charge of it and developed the entire thing. So I would ask him a question, and I'd get a very long answer. to any question I asked him. And the reason was he wanted to be sure I understood why he was doing what he was doing. But he was quite good at what he did. If you look at Betty and Dennis, they sort of put their money where their mouth was in the center city. They came and lived in Fourth Ward and entertained in Fourth Ward. We had a lot of great drinks over at his house.
So Betty was on city council, so she was a strong proponent. And Dennis was the mastermind behind the whole concept. And so they redeveloped, the bank redeveloped Fourth Ward. Successful development, and again, Betty and Dennis were at the forefront of that, moving down there when things were still a little tough. Then Dennis redeveloped Third Ward with the bank, and later was involved in the redevelopment of First Ward.
And so they were a vital part of building this city, the university was. And their point man, at the end of the day, was Dennis Rash, who didn't work for him anymore, but always was, let's say, had one foot back in that camp.
All of those things led to the ability to have the Center City campus for UNCC.
Dennis, again, from a business development standpoint, was very much involved in the Center City building that we see here in downtown Charlotte, and had a lot to do with all of the nature of selecting the site and being a part of helping us to create the presence that we wanted to create.
After Dennis retired from Bank of America, he returned to UNC Charlotte as executive in residence.
He loves UNC Charlotte. As a matter of fact, he came out of UNC Charlotte, went to the bank, then went back. That's what I call real love. Second time around.
Betty had been devoting time to a wealth of organizations, including serving on the UNC Charlotte Board of Visitors.
When I think about Betty, because she's been a mentor to me in my political life and in my civic engagement life forever. Well, not only did she start the Women's Political Caucus and several other things, she was the first director of something called Voices and Choices. And that was a real reach at that time because it was about sustainable development in this region. And it took everything she ever touched, she had a finesse to it.
While Betty and Dennis have been very high profile in Charlotte, they have kept some things private.
Betty and Dennis lived in a townhouse on 10th Street. I lived in a house on Pine Street. And Betty and Dennis wanted to buy our house. So after we sold them the house, we had a sailboat on Lake Norman. They had bought a lake house and didn't have a boat. So then we sold them half of the boat. So I'm trying to think, maybe I have a car. I must have something I can sell.
Somewhere along the way, he contracted some disease which we were worried was going to prove fatal. And I spent a lot of time writing an ode to Dennis, thinking I would read it at his funeral. And so I finally told him that he had really disappointed me by living, and that I'd spent all this effort writing his, this ode to him, but now he was still alive and kicking and had failed to die on time. So he's very much alive and kicking and still stirring up action around the city. And I've lost the ode.
In their free time, Betty and Dennis enjoy tandem cycling and time with Mebane and Jim and their 2 grandchildren. And they continue to make a positive impact on Charlotte and UNC Charlotte.
Was that Betty and I were the only 2 council members who supported, way back then, a change from at-large council elections to a combination of at-large and district elections. But the community rose up, literally, in an initiative petition, and we were out there helping to lead that effort to pass that petition, which passed by a narrow margin. But we have Betty Chafin Rash to thank for her leadership on that.
When you think about what's happened to Center City and what an important part residential development and office buildings, Gateway Center and those things have made to creating a live-work environment, you can see the footprints of Betty and Dennis.
Dennis made a huge difference and still does in our city. He and Betty still are people you talk to about, okay, what should we be doing?
This summer, the Charlotte 49ers officially join Conference USA. With the move, the 49ers leave behind 8 years of excellence in the Atlantic 10, an era that provided lasting moments and memories for Niner Nation.
The 8 years in the Atlantic 10 have provided some stout numbers for the Charlotte 49ers. 50 Atlantic 10 Conference Championships, 46 Atlantic 10 Players of the Year, 7 Atlantic 10 Scholar Athletes of the Year, 18 NCAA team trips, 40 NCAA individual appearances. Of the 184 league championships awarded in the past 8 years, Charlotte has won over 25% of them. The 49ers won an average of 6 league titles per year, including a high of 8 in 2007-2008. Men's golf and women's indoor and outdoor track each won 7 of a possible 8 league titles. Overall, 11 different 49ers programs won an A-10 league title, and 12 sports boasted an Atlantic 10 Player of the Year. Along the way, Charlotte reached the NCAA National Championship game in men's soccer and finished 3rd at the NCAA Men's Golf Championships. Additional NCAA tournament victories, top 25 wins, and a slew of All-America performances vaulted the 49ers program to the top of the league and to national notoriety. Along the way, Charlotte did battle with the likes of Xavier and Dayton, Richmond and George Washington, Rhode Island and UMass, Fordham and St. Bonaventure, Temple and LaSalle, St. Joseph's and St. Louis, and even VCU and Butler. On June 30th, we will wish the league farewell. It's been 8 great years, and the 49ers have both the hardware and high fives to prove it.
Thanks once again for joining us. You can see more on the web at inside.uncc.edu, and all of our segments are on YouTube. In the meantime, we look forward to seeing you next time right here inside UNC Charlotte.